Welcome to the Virtual Strategic Solutions Virtual Reality Simulation System. Accessing legacy dataset. Files loaded, simulation ready. Accessed through Park Street Station, Vault 114 was primarily intended to house Boston's upper class and their families. Only high-ranking members of local and state government, local luminaries and business people were accepted as part of the social experiment. Future members of the Vault were also made aware that they would be cohabiting solely with others of similar wealth and power. Even though the initial residents were of upper social status, the luxury aspect of the Vault was highly exaggerated to the future residents. Multiple families, chosen randomly, were to live and sleep in single-room apartments. Dining and bathing would be in shared quarters, and amenities would be minimal. Vault 114 personnel interviewed individuals for the overseer position with the goal of finding someone with no supervisory or government experience and strong anti-authority bias. Human Resources indicated that the interview process had vetted many viable candidates for the position. An overseer was chosen when the interview process dredged up a man known only as Soup Can Harry. He refused to provide his legal name, which he referred to as a rank and number branded by the government, and believed the government used taxes to fund Illuminati Freemason sex parties. Soup Can was presumably homeless, as he implied that he slept in dumpsters. He also appears to have eaten Abraxo cleaner before, as he is recorded as saying, "I seen the back of them Abraxo boxes. Not for consumption. Don't you tell me what to do, I'll eat what I want." As Soup Can so perfectly exemplified what Vault-Tec desired in an overseer for this vault, his interviewer offered him the position on the spot. Soup Can accepted, but cautioned that he ain't wearing no goddamn tie or pants. Vault 114 personnel were also told by Vault-Tec management not to undermine the new overseer's authority at all during the experiment, even and especially if it may cause physical discomfort, embarrassment, or harm to residents. By taking away the luxury and authority these groups saw in surface life, while simultaneously subjecting them to the whims of a dangerously incompetent overseer, Vault-Tec hoped to study the residents' reactions in stressful situations. By 2287, the Vault had been taken over by mobster Skinny Malone and his crew of triggermen. Entering from Park Street Station, the first hallway leads to the Vault's atrium, separated into 3 tiers. The entrance is on the second tier. A staircase in the southwest corner connects to the third tier, which hosts the overseer's office where Nick Valentine is imprisoned. Another staircase through a door in the southeast corner connects to the first tier. The west end of the atrium's first tier leads to a hallway with the Vault's communal showers and lavatory. A stairwell to the north, past a key-lock door opened by Nick during the quest, ascends to the residential quarters, including the laundry and cafeteria. Beyond to the east are more stairs leading up to the Vault's nursery, advanced lock depot, which contains a master-locked safe, and finally the exit, which leads through a key-lock door opened by Nick to the Vault entrance area in Park Street Station. The Triggermen are a loosely connected group of independent organized crime syndicates that operate out of multiple hideouts, such as Vault 114 and Goodneighbor. They share a common set of rules based around Boston's pre-war mafia families and their traditions. This appears to be due to the influence of their ghoul members, who claim to have been members of such organizations. They favor style over substance and will usually wear a suit or other clothing typical to the pre-war era, sometimes alongside a fedora. Thus, they usually stick close to their territory, only leaving to conduct dealings beneficial to their operations. Most triggermen appear to operate with a code of honor, unusual for criminals in the wastes. For example, Skinny Malone ordered that Nick Valentine be spared because of the old times when they fought with each other in the past. They engage in a variety of shady and sometimes illegal enterprises, such as chem running and operating a robot racetrack at Easy City Downs. Mostly, though, the triggermen often work as hired guns for various high-profile individuals in the region and can often be seen in the company of raiders and other such unscrupulous characters. More evidence that the triggermen are a loose consortium of similar gangs operating in the Commonwealth is that even leading figures like Mayor Hancock hire them to do tasks beneficial to them and the people they govern from time to time. Hancock allows the triggermen to board in Goodneighbor as long as they do not get on his bad side. However, eventually, one gang may become too powerful and threaten the mayor's authority. That is when Hancock will have them shut down to protect Goodneighbor and his position as mayor. Triggermen generally live outside society, establishing secret bases where they undertake their questionable activities. One example is Morawski's Chem Lab, which is hidden deep in an abandoned fish packing plant, and is where Morawski's gang create chems to smuggle into Diamond City and other settlements. Some triggerman gangs maintain a limited presence in larger settlements, however. Goodneighbor in particular is a haven for such groups. Another gang has a presence in Diamond City, likely controlled by the wealthy Latimer family, who often cooperates with Morawski's DC contact Henry Cook to further the chem smuggling operation. Most triggermen are hostile towards the sole survivor, although some are friendly or neutral as part of random encounters or scripted events, such as Skinny Malone and his men. A group of triggermen can be seen in Easy City Downs with raiders, suggesting they cooperate. This is further evidenced by Sinjin's raider group, which works with the triggermen. At the conclusion of the Big Dig, there are two triggermen who accompany Hancock's bodyguard Fahrenheit as guards, indicating that they occasionally cooperate with Goodneighbor's mayor, despite competing for power behind the scenes. The Neighborhood Watch bear a strong resemblance to the triggermen, as they mainly use submachine guns and wear fedoras and suits. Although he is very short-tempered and relies on the comfort of Darla, he is still hesitant when it comes to decision-making, especially if she leaves or doubts his integrity. Like the other triggermen, Malone has based his appearance and persona on that of old pre-war Chicago mobsters. He is known to keep a black book of people whom he's angry with 3 strikes across the name, meaning the person is likely to be killed. According to Nick Valentine, Malone was a small-time player who was eventually driven out of the old neighborhood by more powerful gangs. Malone has an old rivalry with Nick, but despite this, the pair have a measure of respect for each other. Out of respect for his old rival, Malone orders Valentine to be held captive, rather than killed outright when the detective is captured while attempting to retrieve Darla. Valentine had been hired due to Darla's parents' mistaken belief that she had been kidnapped, rather than having run away to be with Malone. Upon meeting him, the sole survivor also meets his lover, Darla. 2 charisma checks are possible with Darla, a harder check to convince Darla to turn on Skinny and attack him, or an easier check to convince her she's wasting her time with Skinny and should return to her parents. If the sole survivor asks what is happening between the two and Nick, 2 charisma checks of equal difficulty will be available with Malone instead. Both of these checks, and the charisma check to convince Darla she should return to her parents, give the same result if successful. Darla will flee the vault, and Malone will give the sole survivor and Nick a 10-second count to leave before he and his men turn hostile and attack.